Hey there everybody, we have another unboxing to do today. Pretty decent sized box. Let's get this open and see what we got. Ooh, look at that. Gil Hibben's Old West Bowie Bloodwood Edition. Alright. Man, this box is massive. Okay, let's see. Gotta cut some tape on it. Okay, there it is. It says Gil Hibben Knives. And this is the model number, GH5069. Right. Okay, what we got in here? We got, focus. Okay, we got some of this. Okay, we got my order sheet out of the way. And this is Kennesaw Cutlery. It's just the catalog. Okay, I actually ordered this on Amazon, and it took a long time to arrive. It ended up taking like 3 days or more to ship, and then it was like 2 or 3 days FedEx, and then it got dropped off at the post office because it was FedEx Smart Post. Then I had to wait another day for the post office to deliver it. I was starting to wonder if it was ever going to arrive. Okay, first things first. Here's the sheath. And is it open yet? I don't know if it is. I guess it isn't. I'm going to have to cut this open. Alright, I got that out of the way. Here is the sheath. It says Hibben Knives. Stamped right into the leather. Custom design. It's got thick black bank line stitching. Quite nice. Very thick wilt. And a drain hole. It does have a drain hole. It's got nice thick stitching there. It's got about a, let me see if that's 3 or 4. Maybe a big 3, almost 4-inch belt loop on it. And I noticed there's no retention strap whatsoever. So the weight of the knife must be what holds it in here. And the original version used to have this Texas star on it. And as you can see, it doesn't have that anymore. Probably something to save money. Because here, on this picture, you see it doesn't have it. So I think all the newer ones don't have the gold-plated star. But here's the knife. Here's the star of the show. Oh boy, let's get it out of this plastic. And another little, oh, it's a little booklet. More advertising for Hibben Knives. Okay, but that's out of the way. Alright, let's see here. Here is the knife, and it's already open. So let's see. Get that plastic out of there. And it's in a paper sleeve. And it looks like there's some plastic there too. Yep. And it's got a tip protector. Okay. Nothing else down in there. Nope. Look at that. Look at that beast. Try to not block it all. It says Gil Hibben, Hibben Knives, custom design. It's got little stars on the hand guard. Wow, that's pretty neat. Look at the size of this handle. Ooh, that's heavy. And this side says, what the heck does that say? It says Hibben Knives. GH5069 stainless design UCC copyright in China. So this is apparently made in China, like most everything nowadays. Now this is a Mousou style Bowie knife, and it's supposed to have a brass handguard. But on this knife, and I guess the idea was so that if you were in a battle or a knife fight, maybe if the opponent's blade come down here, the softer brass might slow down their blade, or even their blade might even wedge into the brass because it's a softer metal. Thus, I guess, helping you not get your hand chopped off. But this here is gold plated. This is not brass. So it's more for looks. I don't think, because I think this is zinc. And I'm not certain, but I think zinc is a fairly hard metal. So I don't think that would have stopped an opponent's blade very well. And then it just has gold plating on it, so it has that brass look. So it very much resembles the real thing, but it's actually not. It's got a clip point blade. It's got a false edge on top, which is actually pretty thick. You can see that. It's got a needle sharp tip. It's got a choil area where you could reach your finger around like that for doing fine carving tasks if you were going to use this. But this is meant as a fighting knife. This isn't meant as a bushcraft knife, although it certainly could serve those tasks, and some pioneers back in the day probably did use it for camping and bushcraft type tasks. I think this is, it either screws on or pushes on. I think it's a push tang. It's probably glued in there, which is not my favorite style of tang on a knife. And the handle, I think it's been like polyurethane. It's real wood. I think it's rosewood, but it is slick. Like, that's a slippery handle. So maybe some grip tape or something on there, like some camoform tape, or even a Ranger band might be in order if you were actually going to go and use this. Most people, I think, just use this as a wall hanger for a display because it's such a beautiful, gigantic Bowie knife. But that being said, let's get some measurements. Okay, it looks like it's about a 13-inch blade, because the blade starts here, and then goes to about 14 to the handguard. And you can see it's a good 20 inches right there. It's about 20 inches overall. So, can't really complain about that. The thing's massive. And then your handle, you're looking at about 5.5 inches. Maybe almost 5 3/4 at the high point there. So that's pretty nice. Okay, looking at about 2.5, just slightly over 2.5 inches on the dot. And that's a full 1/4 inch on the spine. At least the brass is. So the brass is a full 1/4, and I'm thinking the blade itself is probably 3/16. So very thick. Definitely could get the job done. Okay, here it is beside the sheath. It's pretty nice looking. Let's put it in the sheath and see what it looks like. Okay, it did go in. Trying to get that brass down in there was very difficult because this sheath is tight. See that little micro cut on my finger? It's not bleeding, but that was just from my finger bumped the blade. That's how sharp this thing came. And you can see, even though it doesn't have a retention strap, that brass on the spine is not letting this thing out. You could probably fall off of a horse and it ain't going nowhere. So that's good. It's got great retention. I'm sure it'll loosen up over time if you were to use it, but I don't think it would loosen up to the point where it would be of no value. Whoops, by any means. So that's a really decent sheath. You can see the pressure it's putting, the spine's putting on that leather. You can almost see the shape change there. So it's in there very tight. That's a good looking knife. Let's do a paper cut test. Okay, got a sheet of printer paper here. And this is the beast right out of the box. And I know it's sharp because it already got me. Let's see if it's paper cutting sharp. Yeah. That's like a scalpel. This thing is as sharp as any razor. Definitely super sharp. Needle sharp tip. And that is a sharp knife. Okay, my last review was of the Rough Rider D-Guard Bowie knife. So let me get that out of the sheath. Okay, there it is. These are both very beautiful knives. This is actual brass, and it has Damascus steel, carbon steel for the blade, whereas this has mirror polished stainless steel. I think it's 420 surgical stainless. So this is not going to rust. You don't have to worry about oiling it or anything like that. Just try to not leave it soaking in water. This here is very prone to rust, so you got to keep it clean and you got to oil it regularly. This has a hardwood rosewood handle, and this one has a stag handle. This one does have the D-Guard, which I actually like, and I think it might be full tang, like it might be rat tail, but still, it could just be a push tang, I'm not sure. But it is a heavy, beautiful blade. I really like how that spine looks too on it. Definitely, this thing is gorgeous. But it did not arrive super sharp. It just could barely cut paper. It will cut it, but it's not super duper sharp. This one here is super sharp. This thing is like a razor. It's so sharp. Got a little smudge on there. But this one feels much heavier too. You can, like, the weight difference is noticeable. You would think this one, having the D-Guard and everything, would be heavier. But it isn't. This one's got a little more weight, I think. But that is I think the sizes are pretty much identical. The blade might be longer on the Damascus, you can see. Because the blade starts right there. Where's my finger? Right there and right there. So if you line about where the blade starts, I mean, you can see there's a difference. But, alright, see the difference in the handle there? If you take the handles all the way back to where they're even, now the Hibben might be just ever so slightly longer. So, I mean, either way, you can't go wrong. If you want a beautiful carbon Damascus steel blade with a nice D-ring handguard, then the Rough Rider 1942 Bowie might be the one for you. If you want a mirror polished 420 stainless steel blade and you like the gold plating and things like that and the hardwood handle, this handle is a bit slick. It's comfortable, really comfortable. But it is a touch slick. You might want to go with the Hibben. They both have awesome sheaths. I can't complain about either sheath. Okay, this is it beside the Cisco Bowie knife. Got some oil on there, that's why I have it up on the box. But you can see there's a major size difference there. This is more of like what most people carry around. Well, I don't know what else to say about this knife. It's a big, beautiful, stainless steel, gold-plated, Mousou style Bowie knife. I mean, what more could I say? The thing is really awesome. And it's very mirror polished and reflective. It's gorgeous. It's heavy. That's me sharpening the edge with a laser. Yeah, in my dreams. It's very nice. You can find these on Amazon, on eBay. I think Bud K has them. So I think they're worth it. They're very nice. I hope you enjoyed this unboxing, because that's all it was. This is Joe Doomsday signing out.